This $5 battery cell, built from nickel sheet iron, potassium hydroxide, and a glass jar, can store energy from a solar panel, and it never wears out. It is called the nickel-iron cell, and Thomas Edison patented it in 1901. And cells manufactured in the 1940s are still powering railroad signal boxes today, with over 80% of their original capacity. The National High Magnetic Field Laboratory has documented cells holding a charge after 122 years. And yet, the American battery industry generates over $120 billion annually on the assumption you will replace your battery every 8 years. By the end of this video, you can build a working nickel-iron battery cell yourself from 4 materials that cost under $5 at current retail prices. You'll know exactly how it stores energy, why it survives abuse that would destroy a lithium-ion pack in minutes, and how to wire it to a small solar panel through a basic charge controller for home energy storage that never needs replacing. You'll know why Edison himself said this battery would last 100 years, and why independent testing at Battery Research and Testing Incorporated has confirmed that 80 to 87-year-old cells can be restored to full working condition after sitting empty for decades. And then, I'm going to show you why the entire battery industry quietly buried this chemistry after 1975, when the Edison Storage Battery Company was sold to Exide and the production lines shut down, not because the technology failed, but because a battery that never wears out eliminates the replacement cycle that funds a $120 billion industry. But first, you need to understand what your current battery is actually doing to your money. Because once you see the chemistry, you're going to realize that every battery you have ever owned was designed to die. Here is the problem with every mainstream battery chemistry on the market today, starting with lead acid. A standard deep-cycle lead-acid battery used in most off-grid solar systems costs between $100 and $300 and lasts 3 to 5 years under daily cycling before the lead plates sulfate and the capacity drops below usable levels. A lithium-ion pack like a Tesla Powerwall costs around $15,000 installed and is rated for roughly 2,000 to 4,000 cycles before it degrades to 70% capacity, which, at 1 cycle per day, gives you about 5 to 10 years before you need a replacement. The average American household pays around $150 a month for electricity, which is $1,800 a year, and over a 20-year period, that is $36,000 fed into a grid you do not own and cannot control. If you install a solar panel system with lithium battery storage, you are spending $25,000 to $40,000 up front, and you will need to replace those batteries at least once in that 20-year window, adding another $10,000 to $15,000. The entire residential energy storage model is built on chemistry that degrades, because both lead-acid and lithium-ion batteries rely on chemical reactions that physically destroy the electrode materials over time. Lead sulfate crystals grow on lead plates until they can no longer hold a charge, and lithium ions embed themselves in the cathode structure until the crystal lattice fractures and capacity fades. The nickel-iron cell uses a completely different chemical pathway, and the electrode materials are not consumed or damaged during charge and discharge cycles, which is why the chemistry can survive for over a century. A nickel-iron cell consists of 2 electrode plates suspended in an electrolyte solution inside a container. The positive electrode is a nickel plate coated with nickel oxyhydroxide, and the negative electrode is an iron plate, and the electrolyte is a solution of potassium hydroxide in distilled water, which is the same basic compound used in food-grade soap making. When the cell discharges, the iron electrode oxidizes from metallic iron to iron hydroxide, and the nickel electrode reduces from nickel oxyhydroxide to nickel hydroxide, and potassium hydroxide carries the hydroxide ions between the 2 plates. When you charge the cell, the reaction reverses, and the iron goes back to metallic iron, and the nickel goes back to oxyhydroxide, and the electrolyte is not consumed in the process. This is the critical difference, because in a lead-acid battery, the electrolyte is sulfuric acid that chemically bonds with the lead plates during discharge, creating lead sulfate. And that sulfation is what kills the battery over time. In a nickel-iron cell, the potassium hydroxide simply acts as a highway for ions to travel between the plates, and it does not degrade, and the plates do not corrode, and the only maintenance is topping up the water that slowly evaporates from hydrogen gas released during charging. The nominal voltage of each cell is 1.2 volts, and to build a 12-volt battery bank, you wire 10 cells in series. The round-trip efficiency is between 50 and 65%, which is lower than lithium-ion at 90%. But here is why that number is misleading for a solar application. If your panels generate more power than you can use during the day, which most off-grid systems do, the excess energy is wasted anyway, and the sun charges the batteries for free. So the efficiency loss only matters if you are paying for electricity by the kilowatt hour, which a solar homeowner is not. The nickel-iron cell can be discharged completely to 0 volts without any damage, which is something that will permanently kill a lithium-ion battery, or a lead-acid battery in a single event. You can leave a nickel-iron cell sitting empty with no electrolyte for 10 years, and when you refill it with fresh potassium hydroxide solution, it will accept a charge and come right back to life as if nothing happened. If you're thinking this sounds too good to be true, the history stretches back over a century, and the proof is sitting in railroad signal boxes across the American Midwest right now. In 1899, a Swedish inventor named Ernst Waldemar Ljungner patented the first nickel-iron battery in Stockholm, but he could not make the chemistry commercially viable and abandoned the project. 2 years later, Thomas Edison filed his own patent on November 20, 1900, which was granted on January 12, 1901, as United States Patent number 684,204. Edison spent the next decade refining the design, and by 1904, he had founded the Edison Storage Battery Company in West Orange, New Jersey, with 450 employees on the production line. On January 14, 1911, Scientific American magazine ran a full-page feature calling it the storage battery of the future. But by 1912, Charles Kettering at General Motors had thrown the entire automotive industry behind lead acid, because lead acid could deliver the cold cranking burst needed to start a frozen gasoline engine on a January morning in Detroit. That single decision made in boardrooms in Detroit and Dayton between 1912 and 1915 sealed the fate of the nickel-iron battery for an entire century. Edison's battery survived anyway, in the places where longevity mattered more than power density. And those places were railroad signal boxes, mine ventilation systems, emergency lighting, and telephone switching stations. The Edison Storage Battery Company kept the production lines running until 1975, when it was sold to Exide and the lines were shut down. But the cells they shipped in 1940, 1950, 1960 are still in service today. In 2011, a team at Battery Research and Testing Incorporated published a paper documenting their restoration of nickel-iron cells manufactured between 1924 and 1931. These were 80 to 87-year-old cells, and some of them had leaks from the bottom and had been sitting empty for unknown years. Following Edison's original maintenance manual, published in 1914, the team flushed the cells with fresh potassium hydroxide solution and put them through charge-discharge cycles, and every single cell returned to useful, reliable capacity. A cell manufactured in 1946, pulled out of a Burlington Northern signal box in Montana in 2019, accepted a charge after a single flush of fresh electrolyte and delivered 82% of its original rated capacity. In 1928, Italian explorer Umberto Nobile crashed his airship onto the Arctic ice near the North Pole, and a rescue plane dropped several fresh batteries for his emergency radio, and only one battery worked, and it was a Ljungner nickel-iron cell that had been sitting on a shelf for years. So why isn't this battery in your garage right now connected to your solar panels? The answer has nothing to do with physics and everything to do with economics, because the American battery industry is structured around the replacement cycle. Lead-acid batteries are replaced every 3 to 5 years, and lithium-ion packs are replaced every 8 to 12 years. and that replacement cycle is what generates over $120 billion in annual revenue. A battery that lasts 50 to 80 years and can be rebuilt by the owner with a flush of potassium hydroxide eliminates that revenue stream entirely. There is no certification standard for nickel-iron batteries in the current residential energy storage framework, and UL listing, which is required for grid-tied battery installations in most American jurisdictions, was never updated to include nickel-iron chemistry after Exide shut down the Edison production lines in 1975. No major solar installer carries nickel-iron batteries because there is no installer training, no warranty framework, and no financing model that a bank will accept for a battery chemistry that does not appear in their approved equipment lists. The Inflation Reduction Act battery storage tax credit, which was eliminated at the end of 2025, along with the residential solar credit, was written around lithium-ion specifications, and the qualifying criteria reference cycle life ratings, energy density thresholds, and UL listing requirements that nickel-iron batteries were never submitted for. We are told that a lithium-ion battery pack with proprietary software, a 10-year warranty, and a $15,000 price tag is the modern solution, and that a glass jar full of iron plates and soap-grade potassium hydroxide is obsolete. But the lithium pack degrades 5% per year, loses capacity with every cycle, and ends up in a landfill after a decade, while the glass jar has been working since 1946 and still holds 82% of its original charge. The obsolete solution is the one you have to keep replacing. Here is what you need to build a single nickel-iron cell, starting with a piece of sheet nickel, approximately 3 inches by 5 inches, which costs about $1.50 from an online metals supplier. Then, a piece of sheet iron the same size at about 50 cents, and food-grade potassium hydroxide flakes, which you can buy in 1-pound bags for about $8, and 1 pound makes enough electrolyte for roughly 10 cells, bringing the per-cell cost to about 80 cents. Then, a glass jar or a plastic container rated for alkaline solutions that you probably already have. The total per-cell cost is under $5, and to build a 12-volt bank, you need 10 cells wired in series. You score the nickel sheet with a utility knife to increase surface area. Then soak both plates in the potassium hydroxide solution at a concentration of roughly 20 to 30% by weight. The assembly requires no welding, no soldering, and no specialized equipment beyond a multimeter to check voltage. For a complete home storage system, you pair your nickel-iron bank with a standard solar panel and a basic PWM or MPPT charge controller set to a custom voltage profile, because nickel-iron cells need a higher charge voltage than lead-acid, at about 1.65 volts per cell versus 1.45 for lead-acid. The Electrosparkles project online publishes a complete open-source build guide for a homemade Edison nickel-iron cell, including electrode preparation, electrolyte mixing ratios, and charge-discharge curves from real testing. For commercially manufactured cells, the Chinese manufacturer Hengming has been producing nickel-iron batteries for over 30 years, and their cells are available through international suppliers for stationary solar storage applications. 2 honest limitations you need to know before you start building. First, nickel-iron batteries have lower energy density than lithium-ion, which means for the same amount of stored energy, they take up more physical space and weigh more. So they are not practical for vehicles or portable applications. But for a stationary home storage bank sitting in your garage or basement, that trade-off is irrelevant. Second, the round-trip efficiency of 50 to 65% means you lose more energy during charge and discharge than lithium-ion. But if you are charging from solar panels that produce free energy from sunlight, the efficiency loss costs you nothing, and the battery itself costs 95% less over its lifetime. The nickel-iron battery is a 125-year-old chemistry that has been independently tested and documented at over 80% capacity after 8 decades of service. It is more durable than anything lithium-ion has ever produced, and the replacement cycle industry made sure you never found out about it. A lot of what this channel covers sits outside the mainstream, not because it stopped working, but because the system was built to sell you the version that breaks. If discovering the lost science of energy independence matters to you, then subscribing and sharing is the simplest way to make sure this kind of knowledge keeps being found. If you had the choice between a $15,000 lithium battery pack that lasts 10 years or a $50 nickel iron bank that lasts 80 years, which one would you build in your garage? So drop your answer in the comments, because I genuinely want to know which way you'd go. And if you want to see how a $100 system built from curved mirrors and hardware store materials can heat your home at 70% efficiency with zero electricity and zero batteries, then take a look at this video right here.